Is David Benavidez an elite fighter, or is he just a very good fighter? Knuckleheads, that's the current debate ongoing at FightersRep headquarters between me and my co-host Gary Martin. You can catch us live 9 p.m. every Monday on the podcast, but that's the ongoing debate right now. Gary doesn't feel like Benavidez is the elite in the elite club in boxing. He believes he's elite in his division, but not in boxing. And of course, I think Gary doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and I think David Benavidez is elite, pound for pound. Overall, doesn't matter. The guy is elite. Now, I want to give you guys my arguments as to why I think he's elite, right? And first and foremost, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is his performance on Saturday night against Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, one of the best, most ducked, most feared fighters out there. You know, as a guy that nobody wants to fight because he's slick and he's fast and he's athletic and he's strong and he's a very high risk, low reward fighter. And this is a guy that David Benavidez just absolutely steamrolled, right? And if you're a hardcore fan of boxing, I can't speak to the casuals, but if you're here, welcome. I'm letting you in on a little bit of the game here. If you're a hardcore boxing fan, man, you know about Andrade. You know his history. You know he's been ducked. You know he's got a deep amateur career. You know how good he is. And for anyone to do him like that, is a huge, huge surprise and incredibly impressive. And as much as I like David Benavidez and as much as I'm impressed with David El Bandera Roja, the Mexican monster Benavidez, I did not expect that level of domination, that level of punishment. People say, oh, well, you know, they try to argue Andrade had a good first few rounds. I mean, but Benavidez didn't have a good first few rounds either. Listen, he's got guys like Plant. He's got guys like Benavidez, guys that are really seen as good boxers, right? Working at a frantic and confused pace and then unable to keep it up. And then he's catching up with them and stopping them, right? And he was even more efficient in this fight than he was in the Plant fight, getting Andrade out of there. I believe it was in the 6th round. I mean, and in brutal fashion. And what I want to talk about, right, why I believe Benavidez is elite, is for the following reasons. You know, it's not just that he's got incredible timing, really good hand speed, really good power, really good reflexes. I think that's something that a lot of people are not noticing about him. The guy's just athletic, and he's got great reflexes. I mean, maybe not the best feet in the game, but decent feet, really fast hands, fast reflexes, power, speed, a chin. I haven't really seen the guy hurt. You know, I think he got dropped in a Ronald Gavril fight several years ago. But even then, I'm not sure if he was hurt or if it was a flash knockdown. He's got all of these physical attributes, height, length, etc. But what people are glossing over in their ignorance, in their arrogance, right? Including Demetrius Andrade, which is why he lost, is this kid's boxing IQ, man. I mean, his shot selection, you know, throwing that backhand hook, understanding that works against the opposite stance. Always on that back foot, so he always knows what his range is. I mean, that's a style. That is a style from, if you ask some of the best coaches in the game, and shout out to Coach Derek Collinsworth, who I respect very much, that's a style that came about when boxing was perfected, according to coaches like Derek Collinsworth. I mean, this guy's on his back foot. His hands are always in the right position. He's long and he's fast. So even if you're able to close the distance on him, right, you've just left yourself open because he knows all the time what range he's in because he's on that back foot. And now you've got to deal with not only his intelligence and his understanding of range, but with the speed, the power, and the consequences that come when you're a guy like Demetrius Andrade who sits in the middle of his hips, right? Which negates his reach. It negates his reach. And when a guy like a Mexican Monster's on his back foot, man, he's maximizing his reach, right? And what really kind of irked me, right? And this expands on the ignorance towards David Benavidez' boxing IQ and the arrogance of people thinking that he's not a good boxer, thinking that Plant or Andrade or these guys are better boxers than him. What really irks me is what Andrade said afterwards. Oh, he's too big. He was too big. It wasn't like his skills were too much for me. He was too big. My man, this guy is a whole 2 inches taller than you. Now, I'm not saying that that's not something, but 2 inches is not huge, right? You can ask the ladies in your life. And not only that, a 1 inch reach advantage. So do you mean to tell me that your skills are superior to his, but because he has a 1 inch reach advantage, he was able to get you out of there and dominate you for 6 rounds? And again, all respect to Demetrius Andrade, but it's just a clash of styles, right? That, as we've seen over and over and over again, does not work, right? It does not work for the athletic boxer. It's not working, right? Sitting in the middle of your hips against the guy on the back foot. And another one, and charging forward. And another one that is very similar, although he's a smaller guy and a bit more dynamic than Benavidez, obviously, is Terrence Bud Crawford. I mean, Errol Spence did the same thing. Bud Crawford is sitting there on the back foot, right, waiting for you to be stupid and punishing you on the way in and on the way out. Now, of course, Crawford and Benavidez, they can fight off the front foot, fight off the middle, fight off the back foot. I mean, they have the skills to be able to do that, but their default is fighting on that back foot and really maximizing their reach and understanding their range. That's what I'm seeing. And that's a style, again, that's a style that was created by some of the best minds in boxing over many years. And it's working for David Benavidez. And listen, it would work for Jose Benavidez too, right? It would work for Jose Benavidez too, but we're talking about a guy whose leg was shot and basically rendered nearly useless. And, a guy who's fighting probably a division or 2 higher than he should be fighting. And a guy who's not as active, right? Benavidez throws a lot of punches. I'm talking about David. Jose, not so much. But, I mean, if he could get his punch count, he didn't do a bad job against Charlo the other night. If he could get his punch count up and, kind of rehab that movement a bit, really work on his weight, I still think he could be a really great fighter. I still think he could win a title. They were even talking about that, I think, after the fight. But back to David, man. That style works for him. That's a learned style. I think it's learned because his brother uses the same style, and that's why they've had so much success. That's why David has had even more success, because he's been more dedicated, didn't end up in the streets, didn't do crazy stuff that got him in trouble. Now, for a while, I thought he might, right? Because we remember he got stripped because he was doing drugs and I don't know what else. But the guy turned his shit around and got his shit together. So, in my opinion, the combination of physical gifts plus the IQ, man, come on, guys. This guy's elite. Who beats this guy? Who's better than this guy? Gary's got boots ahead of Bud Crawford, so our friendship is in jeopardy because of that. No way Boots ahead of Bud Crawford, but he thinks Boots is better than Benavidez. He thinks Bud Crawford is better. He thinks Canelo is better. And I told him, listen, those are some of the best guys in boxing. You're making my point. This guy is elite. I want to know what you guys think, right? Is David Benavidez elite, or is he just a very good fighter that's elite within his division? Also, after you leave your comments below, be sure to subscribe, like this video, and join the channel to help me not only grow, but to tune in and watch Fighters Rep 21 in Florida on February 17th, Fighters Rep 22 in California on March 2nd. The only way you can catch these events live is to either get your tickets at FightersRep.com or join the channel and watch the live stream. I really look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this. And don't forget, tickets to Fighters Reps, both of the Fighters Reps, 21 and 22, go on sale December 6th at FightersRep.com. Let's hear it. Let's hear what you guys have to say.